Okay, let's just make sure that we are live everywhere where we need to be live as we start the show. Let me just see. Aha, okay. It looks like we're good. Just let me know in the comments, guys, if you cannot hear me or if there's any problems with the show. My name is George Mokwena. This, of course, is the George Mokwena Show Live, a place where, man, I get to speak to you about some of the topics that I've seen throughout the week and in the past few days that I want to speak about and maybe delineate a little bit by myself here. There is an interactive show, the normal show, which is on Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. That one is where I want to hear more from you and let you in. So please do me the favor of subscribing. If you have not subscribed, just click on the button. Click on the button. Share this to as many people as you can and follow all of the different platforms so that we can grow this thing. You know, us football content creators are trying our best to build a new media for everybody where we as fans can be part of it a little bit more. Okay, so off the bat, first topic, we have Nasreddine Nabi. Nasreddine Nabi, of course, is a Tunisian coach who flirted with Kaizer Chiefs for a little bit. Kaizer Chiefs, of course, has been looking for a full-time coach for a very long time. They have taken some side quests, bringing in Arthur Zwane, for example, bringing in Mulifintsek, bringing in Kevin Johnson as the last person who's come in, and his role was straight up caretaker. So Nasreddine Nabi was coaching Tanzanian team Isimba, if I'm not mistaken. It was Isimba, and we had made contact, and part of his alleged demands was that he needs to have his team. He needs to have his technical staff, his goalkeeper coach, his physio, his assistant. He wanted his own team when joining Kaizer Chiefs, which is something that is not new. This is something that allegedly, again, Kaizer Chiefs declined and said that they wouldn't be able to go through with that because they already have Abozwane, because they'd already done some long-term contracts with some backroom staff. Right, so they were not very keen on the idea of this guy coming in. He then went over to Morocco. Funny enough, currently, his former physical trainer person just won 2 trophies with Orlando Pirates this year. He moved on to Pirates. Pirates saw the commotion and poached him. Nasreddine moved then to Morocco, the Botola Pro 1 League, if I'm not mistaken, that's what it's called. Yes, Botola Pro 1 League, where he took on AS FAR Rabat, a team that not many people were speaking about. You may know them from the Champions League, the Women's CAF Champions League, where I believe they played in the final with mamelodi Sundowns, and they're one of the stronger teams. But in terms of the men's team, they weren't that strong. And he's got them number 2. In that league. He was number 1, but Zimbabwe, another coach that we know who's coaching Raja Casablanca, has gone on an incredible run in the last few games and overtaken them literally with 1 game to play. So he's about to be Lord Kambalat in the league, but he has done incredibly well. Them finishing number 2 means that AS FAR Rabat now qualifies for the Champions League. It doesn't look like they're going to be caught and brought down to 3rd. So they're going to be qualifying for the Champions League. And rumor has it that at Kaizer Chiefs, Big Daddy K, Daddy Kaizer Senior stepped in, and he's the reason why they're looking again at Nasreddine Nabi. Apparently, the talks are in an advanced stage, and they're just finalizing what needs to happen. Apparently, an announcement will be made at the end of this Moroccan league. Now, I wanted to give you guys background. I wanted to give you guys some background before I speak about how I feel about this. I am worried. I am worried for 2 reasons, internal and external. The reason that worries me, number 1, is that we have not heard of a lot of movement internally at Kaizer Chiefs. We have not heard of people getting let go. We have not heard of people getting hired. So when you bring in this coach, whoever it is, what type of structure are they going into? Because if they're going into the same exact structure that Chiefs has always been, what can we expect from that coach? I worry about the internal running of the club, because even this decision, after we had known for months that we need a coach. For months that Kevin Johnson is not going to be the guy who's going to carry on the torch. Oh, by the way, 9 years trophyless. You'd imagine that these sort of decisions wouldn't be coming down to the wire. You know, I always make the examples of Europe and how Europe is so efficient with these things. Jurgen Klopp basically announced Arne Slot, the new coach of Liverpool. Final day, he had already said that no, everything is in place, everything was spoken about. I believe he started the chant. We knew. We see how people are announced well in advance of their jobs overseas. But yet at Kaizer Chiefs, reminder, 9 years trophyless, reminder, knowing that you've got a caretaker coach who's only in there because you're searching for somebody else. For months and months and months and months, they had a chance to go out and figure all of these problems out. They had a chance to go and get things right for Uko Chozai. Have talks with him. Speak to, okay, look, your contract ends on this date. We want you in on this date. You know what? 3-4 months prior, we've come to the decision. Let's talk through what we're going to do the moment that the transfer window opens. Let's talk through what we want to do when it's pre-season. Let's get our ducks in a row. But now it looks like all of the rumors are coming back. There was rumors of Coach Santos, who comes from Petro Luanda. Coach Santos says that, yeah, we spoke, but there was no offer tabled. We've seen a lot of coaches putting their hats into the ring. Benny's spoken just now. There's long been rumors of Coach Pitso and all of those people, which is fine. Rumors are rumors. But you'd expect that by now, a decision would have been made. You'd expect that by now they would know the name of the coach, the style of play, what are we going to do, these are his staff, we're going to go to preseason here and there because ucoach ufuna sekhona, and then we're going to get ready. It looks like this announcement is going to come, hey, when preseason has started. And it looks like the decision is going to be made now. So everything that happens after that decision, finding players, assessing current players, bringing in supporting staff, doing all of those things, it sounds like those things are all going to happen mid-preseason. And that's scary for me. It also makes me wonder, respectfully, what happens every day at Kaizer Chiefs? When I say I am a non-Chiefs, non-coach, manager, executive, what do we do all day? Who are you contacting? What are you putting together? What does the search look like? Because by my count, it's been about 8 months where we've known that we have a caretaker coach. Where we've known that we needed to get somebody in. Matter of fact, you could even go further and say, from the time when you brought in Unseki, from the time when you brought in Atazwane, surely there's a list of coaches that they could have copied, man, that they could have copied from the previous year because they've done that much work. They could have copied from the year before that they've done that much work. I worry about this club flying by the seat of their pants. I worry about this club making things up seemingly as they go along. I worry that the same decision-making panel that has made decisions that have put us into a 9-year trophy drought are going to be the same people that we have to trust to make this right. I worry if they can let go and allow Coach Nabi, Coach Pitso, Coach Benny, Coach whoever to come in and have their control, to come in and be able to shape the club. I worry. Coach Nabi, Coach Santos, Coach Pitso, know where you're walking into. Know the kind of support that you're going to get or lack thereof. Know that the fans are rabid. It's been 9 years. You can't blame Chiefs fans for being impatient, as they call it. Understand what you're walking into. You are going to have to craft everything and win with your own bare hands. Because they'll throw you under the bus if it's not working. So this is very interesting. Nasruddin Nabi seems to be the favorite. Another interesting part of this is, you know, everybody always tells me that Chiefs doesn't have money. Chiefs imali ayikho. They can't afford to bring in people and their technical staffs and all of that. We can't afford to do all of those things. Eh? But yet, here we are, going back for Unabi. Now think about it. If Nabi was expensive, leaving Tanzania, everybody knew he was leaving. Leaving Tanzania. If he was expensive then, how much more money do you think you're going to have to spend now? How much more money will you have to spend knowing that he's just qualified that team for the Champions League? Knowing that he's got a long-term contract, most probably, maybe let's say a 3-year contract. Excuse me. With all of that knowledge, how much do you think Chiefs is paying to break that contract? How many times are we going to be stung by our own mistakes? You left him on the table last time. Didn't work out again. Now you have to tuck your tail between your legs and go back to him for even more money. I'm sure he's got even more demands now, knowing that they've come back. How many times have we signed players? Bomba signing bonuses and all of that stuff that are not even seeing game time at Kaizer Chiefs. You saw him 3 years ago when you had a plan and he was hot. Didn't take him then. Waited 3 years later. Think about all the players that we have here. Abom Tanzania, for example. This is a very interesting case. It's interesting, but it also scares me. I hope in my heart of hearts that these are all just rumors. I hope in my heart of hearts that they've done everything that I've been speaking about and they're ready to pull the trigger. I hope that they've done the work in the back as much as they're going to do the work in the front. And I hope that this is just media going off. But to be honest with you, it's been 9 years. So I don't know if I can give them the benefit of the doubt. Anyway, moving on to the secondary topic that I want to discuss today. This one is going to be a little bit shorter. Orlando Pirates and Mamelodi Sundowns played this past weekend in the Nedbank Cup. Well done to Amapagania Esgama Kepula, who went out and beat Mamelodi Sundowns to retain their Nedbank Cup and to make it 4 trophies in 2 years. Incredible performances coming from Orlando Pirates within the Cups. Sundowns again falling short right at the hurdle. We're going to speak about Coach Rulani later on. But what caught my eye was that, again, we were faced with a game that had to start later than what was scheduled. So for those who don't know, there was a delay. And I say again because Pirates had a similar situation just a few weeks earlier when they played Ichipa United in the semi-finals of the Nedbank Cup, right? And it really brings 2 questions to my mind. 2 questions. Because I'll start with the first one. Before I go into things, I'll start with the first one. South African fans, hi guys. We know the game starts at 3. We know that it's going to take you at least a good 30 minutes to try get in. We know this is football, it's not new. So why is it that when we have these big games in different provinces and things like that, all of a sudden people are arriving late, people are delaying the game. We all know about what happened at Ellis Park. We understand the threat of people trampling over each other trying to get in. We know about stampedes. We know about all of those things. Yet we still arrive. Karinako. There was a game that was played. I was at Amazulu. Was it Amazulu Chiefs or Amazulu Pirates? I'm forgetting. Moses Mabida. Where it's literally 40 minutes in and you can see people still like streaming in and walking in casually. You know, a first half in the game. When you see the second half, you see a fuller stadium. And you wonder, guys, do we understand the occasion? Do you understand that, guys, get there early, do something, arrive early. You know, get there, relax, sit down. Get there, not having to cause a lot of traffic coming in, not having to push and pull. If you saw those pictures from Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium during that Chippa and Orlando Pirates game, I think that's a hazard. That is a very deep hazard. It seemed like everybody was filing in from one side. Then they need to go figure out Ngale. Then they're bumping against each other. A lot could happen there. And sometimes 15 minutes might not be enough. So that was one very interesting part on the fans. The secondary part that really caught my eye is something that a lot of people have spoken about. Guys, our stadium planning. You know, I had somebody on my show last night, Maronza, come in and say, guys, getting to the stadium is hectic. Going from a town, having to drive out into the middle of nowhere, there's one way to get in, then they still wanted you to park and ride when you got there. And then that park and ride created even more traffic going into the stadium. And Abu Mazola posted pictures of what it was like getting out of the stadium. That they sat for 2 hours, 3 hours in traffic, just sitting in traffic. No traffic officers, you know, nobody's controlling the flow. And it seems that everybody, even the teams, couldn't necessarily maneuver their way out. And this again calls to question this thing about our stadiums that were built and stadiums that, you know, our huge stadiums, the FIFA World Cup stadiums and things like that. How much planning actually went into these things? How much planning actually was put into how this is going to accommodate a big game? How one entrance way in is going to be the biggest issue because I have to wait in a queue to get into the stadium in my car. Then when I get into the stadium, I still have to get out and go find an entrance. Nakhona, kshayu 3 kolabantu. You know, we've spoken a lot about the PSL and the stadia. We've spoken a lot about how sometimes, man, people are smoking in the stadium. You don't have enough security to keep. The peace. Outside, people always complain about being hijacked and the dangers of going to go watch a PSL game at night, for example. There's so many things that need to be fixed when it comes to our stadia, when it comes to our attendance and why we don't attend. Sometimes people have a point to say, why am I coming here right now? Why am I leaving the comfort of my own home where I can watch this thing on TV and going and having to go plan for an hour? Think about it. There was a guy on my show last night who drove from Botswana. There's people who come from other countries to come and watch these games. There's people who have been driving the whole day. There's people who have spent a ton of money only to get there and find issues with the stadium. And I feel like we all know it's a Category A game, it's a final, it's Sundowns, it's Pirates. But it didn't feel as though the planning around it was aligned with this thing. So we really need to figure out ways to make the stadium going experience a lot better. That's just how it is. It was sad, man. It was sad. Now VIP, yeah, now Supersport, SAPC. Now my teams were caught in the same traffic. How safe is that? If you saw some of the pictures from Mazola, it's in the middle of the night, guys. The stadium is a little bit, away from the town. Is it really safe to sit for 2-3 hours at traffic? But anyway, I'm going to move on to the last topic for today. I just want to do something. Hey, guys. Nyakula, guys. Nyakula. This flu doesn't want to let me go, so I just need to do something quickly. Okay, I'm back. Apologies, hey guys. Sometimes you have to pause the show because I don't think you guys would want to see what was about to come out. Okay, so let's go to the third topic for today. Hi guys, some people are just so unlucky. Some people are just so unlucky. Dance has a long history of this happening to him. For those who don't know, Dance has been suspended by Baroka. And we all know in South African football that there's two ways where a coach has been fired. It's either they get randomly suspended or the team announces a technical director who just so happens, to have coaching badges, who just so happens to be a recognized coach. We see this a lot. So Dance has been suspended. But what's interesting about this is the attitude of our teams towards certain coaches. Dance has been danced. This happened in the PSL. Come to the team, save them from relegation, you get fired. Come to a team, get them playing well, you get fired. Dance is not the only one. In the past few weeks, we've seen a few of them. One such example is Ulitono CM. Takes Kukule all the way to number 4. Suspended. Takes Polokwane City into the top 8. Suspended. Dance takes Baroka into a playoff. Now guys, for those who don't know, getting to a playoff for certain teams means a lot of things for those owners. Obviously, the biggest one is that you can go into the PSL. But one of the other points is that it drastically increases the valuation of your team. So what Dance has done to take a mid-table Baroka, I believe they were mid-table, and put them into a playoff to get into the PSL is incredible. It's a job well done. It's something that should be rewarded. But yet, for some reason, our South African teams, they have this weird relationship with winning coaches. It's almost like I can't give you credit for doing the job that you did. I can't give you credit. Ooh, Gavin, you've got us in the semi-finals of the Champions League. No, you know what? We'd much rather fire you now. Much rather. We get rid of you now. So that at the end of the season, you don't take credit for all of this stuff. A certain team did that. What happens? And why is this such a cultural phenomenon at our teams? Coach Vusmuzi Vilakazi and Coach Mabuti Kenyeza had a team up to second. I believe Golden Arrows was second when he left. Gone. He leaves. Mokoena Mamila has just been fired right now. He says he doesn't know who made the decision. It's not the chairperson. Legal contacted him and said he was now fired. So he fetched all of his things. Yada, 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 yada. Why do we keep having the same type of story when it comes towards our coaches? And I know I'm starting off on purpose focusing on the teams because it does really feel like these teams know which coaches they can use until they can be put into a certain position. And once they're put into that certain position, there's coaches that they want to go fetch that look better on paper. I'm sure certain coaches, let's say, the rumored person for this job, Coach Morgan Mamila, comes in. It looks better. He's a PSL coach. You know, he has his record ever since. He always tells us about his record ever since he came in. He won X amount of games versus other coaches. All of that, it's all true. All true. But then you fast forward a few months later, and it's like, "Aye, man." It's not to say that's going to happen with Morgan Mamila. I was just using an example. But a few months later, you figure out that, "Aye, man, this person is not gelling with this team. It's not clicking with this team." Coach Dance, do you want a 6-month contract? Our teams need to do better. Our teams need to get serious. Stop sacrificing your progress for whatever ego or pride you guys have, whatever feelings you have about these coaches. Stop sacrificing that because they've done well. Coach Dan Dance is on the brink of promoting Iparok. Abolsolo Siema are sitting on the brink, was sitting on the brink of a Confed Cup spot for his Kukun, even though Kukun is going to go to the Confed anyway because of the 4th place. So you could say that he directly qualified them for Africa again. Their track records are good before you let them go. So take them seriously. Don't just hire to fire a Hollywood big name coach who's not going to fit into what you want, who's going to ask too much of you. Now, Moroka Swallows. Musa Nyatama is sitting right there. He saved your club on multiple occasions. Yet you've gone out and you've got another coach, Steve, and all of those people. Not to say that they're bad coaches, but now Muntu Khan. Now, all of those expenses could have been avoided. Think about Ibaroka right now. They're going into a crunch time in the playoffs, promotional playoffs. Tuks already has a win right now. Richards Bay still has to play. And you're getting rid of coach. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I just feel like our teams are not serious in what they do. But now I want to point it at the coaches. Coach Dan Dance. And I'm going to speak to Coach Dan Dance directly. How many times are you going to allow this to happen? How many times are you going to allow these South African teams to play with you? Every time a team is in trouble, who's the first name that people think of? Dan Dance. He comes in, he's got a 6-month contract, 4-month contract, turns the team around, they start playing football, gone. I'd imagine, Coach Dan Dance, that by this point, your representatives, I don't know who's your agent, I don't know who your lawyers and all those people are, but those people should have made sure that by now your contract is ironclad. By now, if a desperate team comes looking out for me, I do 2 things. I make sure that I can't just be moved aside. 1, I make sure that it's a multiple season contract. You know, rumor has it Dan Dance was coaching at Royal AM when John Maduka got fired. He was coaching without a contract. That's why it was so easy for him to go to Gallants. That doesn't strike me as a serious coach. That doesn't strike me. It strikes me as noma yini Priam. Hey, Yazi, I've been looking for a job. Nobody wants me. Noma yini Priam. Nigeze leo 4-month contract. I spoke about Coach Pitso the other day when I was like, oh, Coach Pitso is out here as one of the best guys, yet they're treating him like the 10-10s wako Saudi Arabia. At what point do you take yourself seriously, Coach 10-10s? And if you cannot do it contractually, at what point do you guys say, you know what? I'm going to Tanzania. I'm a Nedbank Cup winner. I've got a strong CV. I'm going to go coach in Tanzania for a bit. Oh, DR Congo, Morocco. Oh. Because the other part of this equation is that U1010s, no matter how many times you guys can speak about him, no big team will trust U1010s. He's now put himself into that box. And I know I'm going hard on U1010s right now because we love him. But there's plenty of coaches that need to get more serious. Get more serious contractually. Make sure they're ironclad. Get more serious team-wise. Start building your team, that dance. Mawufike eklabhini, you must tell them, Guti, listen, I've got 5 people that I roll with. So that we can make sure Guti nani ni serious. I've got 5 people that I'm rolling with right now that I want to jump into this team with so I can change this team's fortunes as I normally do. There's a reason why my number was on your phone. They must get serious and go get all of the licenses they can get. Hashem is not going to work anymore. Nizababugela Bo Rivero coming in. You watch Bo Pablo Franco Martin coming in. You watch about Dylan Shepard, who apparently his contract is so strong, allegedly, that he can't get moved. That's why he's been there the whole time when things have been falling at Chiefs. Contractually, he can't move. And stop taking these nomaini jobs, man. There was no need for a coach of 10-10's caliber to go down to the NFD. There was no need. Imagine, who coached 10-10s in the first division? Nomaini, Priam. Oh, nomaini. Mfuna lo msebenzi. Whatever one comes up. Coach Siema, you took 2 teams into the upper part of the top 8. 2 teams. Rescue jobs. You took 2 teams and had them playing some scintillating football, gaining all types of points. Why would you, coach, take an alleged 4-month contract? If you knew your worth. That are floating around the league, that get jobs everywhere, that get very nice terms all the time, that you don't hear about them getting fired midway through the season. Because they take this whole thing serious. Themselves too. So it's irritating to watch people like our coach 10-10s, who we all know. People, guys, Chiefs fans have cried how long for Coach 10-10s to come to Kaizer Chiefs? Every time I do a live show where I speak about Kaizer Chiefs and all of that stuff, everybody mentions 10-10s. Yet now, getting fired from Baroka. No disrespect to Baroka, but come on, guys. Anyway, that's the third topic that I wanted to touch on. The last topic I want to speak about. The last topic that I want to speak about. And I want to start it off by saying that Coach Rulani has done an incredible job in his first full season as a sole head coach. Knocked out in the CAF Champions League semi-finals. one game away from invincibility, something that has never been done. One game had already broken the record for being unbeaten, stretching that even further, right? Got to the final of the Nedbank Cup. I think, won the AFL. Hey, before I forget it, he won the AFL. But I think what I've been hearing Mamelodi Sundowns fans speaking about, for me, is that they're starting to worry if Coach Rulani is just an incredible coach, but not the guy that gets you over the initial hump, not the guy that makes you win everything, not the guy that they need when you are staring a CAF final in the face, you're staring a CAF semi-final in the face. But the truth of the matter is that heavy is the head that wears the crown. Mamelodi Sundowns is trying to become an African giant. Mamelodi Sundowns is trying to play in every Club World Cup, is trying to win every CAF Champions League, is trying to chase Ahly. Does Rulani have what it takes to unseat those type of teams? Does he have what it takes to go out and just rip things for Mamelodi Sundowns, win them 3 Champions Leagues in a row? Or will he stumble every time he gets to the big chair, the big pressure? I think if there's one weakness of Coach Rulani, the one weakness that Coach Rulani has, it's that he blinks when it's hot. When it's not a semi-final CAF Champions League against AS Tunis or Wydad Casablanca or Ahly, when it's not the penultimate game of the league, the invincible league, when the pressure starts to switch and go to Sundowns, his decision-making is superb. His tactical acumen is superb. His planning and preparation is superb. Mara makshisa. When there's the expectation is at its highest, he falters. Now the question becomes, you've already seen 4 years of Coach Rulani, obviously co-coaches with Mangoba at some point and all of that stuff. You've already seen those years. Is he the guy? Because whenever we have conversations about Coach Rulani, he's only young when he loses. He's only mistake-filled when he loses. That's when everybody comes out and is like, no, but you have to understand, can a club like Sundowns, who are trying to do what they're trying to do, can they sit down and say that Rulani is the guy? And I think I want to shift it to Mamelodi Sundowns over here. I did a video a couple of maybe a month ago. Well, I asked a very simple question. Does Sundowns need to mimic Ahly? Have to mimic Wydad? Have to mimic AS Tunis up there up north? In the ruthlessness that they carry when they go into a season. And Ahly right now, when the season starts, that guy, the expectation is there. Champions League. Champions League. If you win the Champions League, you are safe. If you don't, but maybe you do well in the cup or whatever, we'll discuss it. But we know what the goal is. And I started asking my Sundowns friends, I started asking them, guys, are you guys ruthless about this thing, man? Is it a must? And they were like, no, you know, if we can get to a final and if we can do this, we can do this. Are we being too friendly? Are we being too patriotic, you would say? Loyal? And is that loyalty harming in Mamelodi Sundowns? Is that loyalty stopping Mamelodi Sundowns from going up to the next level? Is it the fact that there's still everybody smiling with Rulani? And I'm not to say he's a bad coach. I don't want to make this about him being a bad coach, but about the seat of Sundowns. Are we still a little bit too green, too agreeable to really take on those people up there? And should Mamelodi Sundowns change? To bring it back to Rulani, I think Rulani is an incredible coach. I think he's innovative. He's not scared of trying things. He's got a lot of great attributes. My issue with the coach Rulani, if I'm being 100% honest, is that when everything is going good, when everything is going good, you can hear the pacing of the press conference. You can hear the things that he said, you know. You can see, man, when everything is going right on the pitch, man, you watch the different tactical changes. Everything is tip-top. Oh, guys, I'm tired. Oh, guys, the ref. Did you see that decision that was made? What? The other team. Where's my support? I need the fans to see me. How come you guys don't support South African coaches? Like, all of that stuff starts creeping up at the worst possible times. I saw a video by one of my TikTok friends, Kalifang. He also does football, and he said, he understands what Coach Rulani is saying, and he's tired and all of that stuff. And I was like, the issue is not the statement. The issue is you don't say you're tired right before the semis. You don't start being nervous. Mazkal. What separates the good and the great coaches, the great coaches don't blink. Don Carlo Ancelotti, 5 Champions Leagues. I don't know how many other leagues. He doesn't blink when it's lit. He doesn't start, looking at all of his options and doing all of that stuff. But it's also very important to say, in Rulani's defense, I think we're now starting to figure out what type of coach Rulani is. I think Rulani is a league winner because the pressure is spread over 30 games. I think he's incredible at that. I think he's very good at, I'm coming into the league. I know a lot of these teams, one, fear me. I know, number two, that a lot of these teams, in that fear, they don't change. They don't have the luxury. They don't have the luxury of changing their style of play completely and all of that stuff. So my 10 matches that I watched the other day are going to be, are going to come in clutch because I'm going to come play these teams. I've got a plan. I come in, boom, boom, boom. I get my 1-0, I get my 2-0, I get my 3-0. I get my 3 points here, 3 points here, 3 points there. By the time people are looking up at me and trying to catch me, they're also in panic mode. So they're coming into my matches panicked. A lot of them are scared. He's long-term coach. But when you speak about cup games, sometimes cup games are not decided by how incredible your tactics were, Sometimes, or how incredible your plan was. Sometimes those games, most times, are decided by that small decision you made that breaks your system. I think Rulani's system is incredible. But when it comes down to it, there's small things that happen where Jose Rivero throws in Mfukeng. And he says to him, make a plan. That was the quote. Mfukeng spoke about what Jose said to him. And he's like, no, the coach told me, hey man, I trust you, go make a plan. Scores a wonder goal from nothing. ES Tunis are playing a certain way right until the last few minutes now where they're trying things and moving different players and doing all that stuff. Goal. They win, they move on. I think Rulani is too much in his head in these moments. I think Rulani needs to learn that, sometimes you got to go with your gut. Sometimes you got to trust that I don't know, Mapena, Nyakfaga boy, I don't have a plan for you. I'm not going to be coaching you. I can't tell you. It's the last 10 minutes of the game. Go do something, boy. I think he needs to let go of that. I think his control sometimes messes with him because he doesn't have control of his control. And he starts overthinking and going through all the textbooks and going through all, Catenaccio, Libero, going through all of those things. And it just confuses him. If you look at the game versus Pirates, and a lot of the games, here's a game versus Pirates. We all understand what's going to happen at some point in this game. Jose Rivero is going to take everybody off of the bench and say, guys, ngena nonke, go and run at this team. Mfukeng is going to come on, Dlamini is going to come on, Mabasa is going to come on. They're going to run at this team, which is something that we know Pirates to do. But yet, instead of doubling up on Khuliso Mudau's side, for example, instead of making some changes where you can catch them off, he just does a whole bunch of weird substitutions. You look at the game versus Wydad last year in the semi-finals of the CAF Champions League. Everybody is screaming, Kwalam Nyako, Kia. And instead of doing that, he keeps going with the attacking. It's like he does the opposite of the thing to prove to us that, I know football. Sometimes you need to swallow your ego, play. Sometimes you need to call Esquivel and say, my guy, there's 15 minutes left on the clock. I trust you. Go out there and figure it out. I think he's lacking some of that at times. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me. If you have not followed and subscribed, please subscribe. I'm going to be live again later. We're going to be watching Banyana Banyana. I'm just going to confirm whether they're going to show it. But we're going to watch Banyana Banyana. We're going to have a watch along and speak about that. The normal show is Monday to Thursday at 7 p.m. That's where we get to debate on these topics, where you can jump in and I can hear from you guys via TikTok. So if you have not followed me on TikTok, it's Overthinking Football. If you have not followed me, subscribe to me on YouTube. It's Overthinking Football, the Overthinking Football Show. I'm currently rebuilding my Facebook page because it got wiped for some reason. It got deleted. I don't know what happened. And Facebook is not getting back to me. So just look out for the Overthinking Football Show on Facebook as well. And you'll be able to see me there. Same as on IG. It's Overthinking Football Show. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for watching. I've been your host, George Mokwena. This is the George Mokwena Show live. I'll see you guys then at 7 tonight. Bye, guys.